US legacy carrier Delta Airlines is widely known for its measured approach to the expansion of its fleet. With an order for 20 Airbus A350-1000s and delivery set to begin in 2026, the carrier is signaling its commitment to modernizing its fleet with a new flagship. Despite such a commitment, the airline has left the Boeing 787 Dreamliner on the table. The airline has yet to order the type and had no official plans to do so until recent analysis suggested they could be looking at one specific variant of the family. Indeed, recent reporting by airline industry observers suggests that Delta may be close to ordering the Boeing 787-10. This kind of move would mark a departure from an Airbus-heavy wide-body fleet, with the 767s set to be retired before any other wide-bodies. Acquiring the 787 would also raise some questions, as the purchase of these specific aircraft seems somewhat illogical given the last decade of the airline's network and fleet strategy. And so let's look at various considerations for today's video. The Boeing 787-10 is the largest member of the Dreamliner family, a stretch of the quote-unquote mid-size 787-9. The -10 maintains a composite fuselage, advanced wing design, and next-generation engines that define the 787's production line, delivering strong fuel burn improvements over older wide-bodies like the Boeing 777-200ER. Where the 787-9 emphasizes long-range capabilities and operational flexibility, the -10's value comes from its ability to maximize capacity and increase per-seat efficiency. Airlines typically configure the jet with around 320 to 340 seats, allowing for very competitive unit costs, especially on the busiest corridors. In terms of the jet's cabin, the variant will, of course, support all the same modern product offerings as its smaller siblings. As with all Dreamliners, it has large windows, a higher default cabin humidity, and a lower default cabin altitude. From an operational standpoint, the trade-off is ultimately going to be range. Compared with the 787-9, the 787-10 gives up several hundred miles of performance, which can constrain missions that face strong headwinds or plan to carry heavy cargo loads. The table you see here details some additional specifications for the Boeing 787-10, with data coming from Boeing. At the same time, range is still more than adequate for many transatlantic city pairs, intra-Asia trunk routes, or flights linking North America with the northern portion of South America. As a result, global carriers tend to view the 787-10 as a capable workhorse due to its ability to serve dense markets where filling seats is not an issue, but maximizing revenue per departure is more important than absolute range capability. Getting to Delta Airlines' dilemma specifically, the carrier's long-haul network is built around a set of powerful coastal and mid-continent hubs that feed its diverse international traffic flows. This multi-hub network combines business-heavy trunk routes while also supporting growing leisure travel flows to the Mediterranean and secondary destinations across Europe. While American Airlines is undoubtedly a leader in service to the Latin American market, Delta does serve some key destinations on the South American continent. Many of these markets benefit from high-frequency services and premium demand. At the same time, certain corridors can routinely support wide-body gauge and stronger overall cargo flows, both of which make aircraft choice critical for the continued growth of the airline's long-haul network. For Delta, the 787-10's biggest selling point is undoubtedly its per-seat economics, especially on high-demand routes that do not require ultra-long-range jets. On many routes, such as those in and out of JFK, Atlanta, or Boston, stage lengths fall within the 787-10's comfort zone and justify more seats than a typical A330-900 or 767-400ER. The aircraft itself could act as an efficient tool for Delta to improve gauge on some routes or consolidate multiple frequencies during shoulder seasons. The aircraft's modern cabin, with its large windows, quiet engines, and lower cabin altitude, will also align nicely with Delta's emphasis on premium experience and high-yield corporate traffic. Operationally, the Boeing 787 family's fuel efficiency and maintenance profile are appealing to many global carriers, providing a proven template that Delta could ultimately leverage. If ordered in significant numbers, the 787-10 could help the airline accelerate the retirement of the more fuel-thirsty 767s and older A330 models, helping reduce or at least maintain the same level of wide-body complexity. As the 757s get replaced by the A321neo, the 787-10 could replace 767s to some extent. And if used this way, the aircraft would not replace the A350, but would rather sit beneath it as a dense transatlantic or domestic-focused workhorse that is tailored to markets where filling seats is rarely an issue in and of itself. This combination could gently lift margins on some of Delta's strongest international corridors. But the case against the 787-10 certainly does exist, and it is grounded in criticism of the aircraft's range and flexibility. While adequate for transatlantic missions, the aircraft's performance margin shrinks on longer westbound legs, cargo-heavy flights, or potentially deeper South American and Middle Eastern routes. This limits redeployment options if the airline's network priorities shift. Delta has historically prized flexibility, using the same wide bodies on both its Atlantic and Pacific networks. The Boeing 787-10's shorter legs compared with the Airbus A350 family could box it into a narrower operational role. Fleet complexity could also be a concern, and adding a Boeing wide-body aircraft type alongside Airbus A330neos and A350s would ultimately require separate pilot training, simulators, spares, and maintenance programs, diluting the benefits that Delta is gradually building up with the scale of its Airbus wide-body fleet. Reputational and execution-oriented risks also exist. Delta Airlines actually inherited a Boeing 787 order through its merger with Northwest Airlines, but ultimately didn't take it up. The airline's management team has been outspoken about preferring proven platforms already embedded in its system. As such, purchasing the Dreamliner would need to offer a strong economic case, not just overall appeal, to justify deviating from a fleet strategy the carrier has been refining for years. Delta's long-haul fleet plan mostly centres on the operation of Airbus wide-body jets. The carrier has steadily grown its A350-900 fleet and ordered the larger A350-1000 to take over roles that were once filled by outdated 777-200ER models. Deliveries of the larger model are expected to take place later in the decade. Alongside these jets, Delta is beginning to lean heavily on the Airbus A330-900 as a versatile transatlantic workhorse and selective trans-Pacific platform. The model offers an impressive balance of range, economics, and cabin comfort that is well suited to many of Delta's core markets. As older Airbus A330 and Boeing 767 aircraft retire, the A350 and A330neo families will have to shoulder most long-haul growth. In this context, a Boeing 787 order would likely be additive to the airline's existing capabilities rather than fully transformative. For Delta Airlines, the 787-10 is neither an obvious choice nor a clearly misguided idea. The jet's strengths line up neatly with several of Delta's realities, including strong demand on many transatlantic routes and a need to retire aging Boeing 767s. The Boeing 787-10 would likely be used by Delta on dense, range-appropriate routes, and these are places where the aircraft could undoubtedly lift margins and give planners another tool between the capacities of the Airbus A330-900 and the A350. Despite its benefits, Delta will have to carefully consider the drawbacks the model brings to the table. But what do you think? Should Delta add the 787-10 to its operations? Let us know by leaving a comment. In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles and a podcast every week. Visit simpleflying.com.